Halloween right now, so I've got an hour or so before the sun sets, and it's time to get everything set up. Welcome back. Today we're going to look at some LEDs and some Halloween lights. It's that time of year again. Time to get the Raspberry Pis out, get xLights installed, Falcon Player. I'll run you through my setup and I'll also run you through the Falcon Player setup, the xLights, how I did the projection mapping. So hopefully you can do this yourself. Okay, so here's our kit ready and waiting. We've got 3 pumpkins, we've got a little shelf to lift them up off the ground. We've got lots of power cables. This little box here hides one of the projectors. Inside there we've got power, and we've got a little Raspberry Pi. Over here we've got more power. We've got some more waterproof wiring boxes, and on the wall that's the 12-volt power supply for the LEDs. Let me see if I can open it. Oh, I can't reach. There we go. So we've got a big power supply in there, and we can branch off for many LEDs. In the big box on the right, inside there is a dig quad. There's a string of lights around the front door and a string of lights around the garage. First thing we need to do when setting up the display is check the weather, because last year it absolutely hammered it down, and this year I'm not going to bother if it does. So I'm going to check the weather. Fingers crossed we're good. Okay, weather's checked. We're good. I think it's going to rain at 10, 11 o'clock tonight, so that should give us enough time to set up, run the show, and clear away as well before bedtime. We're using 2 projectors today. I've got an Optima 1080p projector. That's 3,500 ANSI lumens. That one's going to do the projection mapping onto the house. The second projector is an 8-man LC 450, which is a very cheap projector, and that's just going to be used to do the pumpkins. Project pumpkin faces onto 3 pumpkins. Last part of our setup is the sound. For that I'm using a TCL Raydance soundbar and subwoofer. All of these things, the projectors, the audio equipment, I've got from auctions for, I say next to nothing, for a lot cheaper than I would buy these things new. Some of the things I've had to repair, maybe flash some firmware, but it's ideal for this kind of thing where I can leave them outside, and if they get rained on, it's not the end of the world. Ideally, I don't want them to get rained on, but I'm not using brand new equipment. Okay, so first setup, we have on the roof of the carport, we have power, we have the sound bar, we have the 3 pumpkins, we have our Raspberry Pi 4, power, there's just a connector in there, just keeping it dry, and a little 8-man projector. Okay, so we just set everything up. Let's have a look. There we go. Just running the basic tests. The strings are working. Right, sound is working. Okay, setup number 2. This is the Optima projector. Another Raspberry Pi. Just a box to keep the weather off the power supply. That runs down, and the projection mapping onto the house there. And the first things I need to do is align the projector up on the house. So if I start playing the video, I just need to move it around a little bit. I haven't got a particular place fixed for it to go, so I just have to align it each time.
Okay, the house mapping. I went outside, took the laptop, set up my projector, pointed at the house. It was just starting to go dark, so I could just see the projected sort of white light on the house. I downloaded and installed a piece of software called Projection Mapper by a company called Digital Pressworks. It seemed to be the one that's recommended by everybody on the internet. It's a free piece of software, very simple. It just projects a white blank canvas onto your house. You then use your mouse and you draw around the main features of your house. So here you can see my garage, the top of the garage, the porch over the door, and then the door itself. So I've got a rough sort of idea of where things are. Now, obviously this only works if I keep the projector in the same place. Well, that's fine. I'd figured out a good place to put the projector that's going to be protected behind the car on the drive, so people won't trip over it or trip over the wires. So I did that, and that produced this file here. I brought this image into HitFilm and started with that. So you can see that on the timeline here. First thing I did was start to draw some masks. So this was mask number 1, and then mask number 2. Not sure where that is. Let me change the blend to multiply. There we go. So we've now got a mask, so it'll only allow me to show videos on those areas of the house, so on the garage and on the door. The rest of the house should be masked out now. Oh, there's the other mask. I don't know why there's 2. Obviously you don't need that second one. So let's turn that one off. So I don't need this to show at all. I just need to turn it on to have a guide. Maybe there's a better way of doing that. I don't know. I'm not overly familiar with video editing software in general. Maybe somebody can tell me of a better piece of software to use, maybe Premiere Pro or After Effects. Okay, so we'll now enable these. So I found a piece of video of just a wheel spinning round. I thought it looked a bit carnival-y, so I was thinking maybe go with some clown type of carnival sort of Halloween theme. So I added that in and positioned it at the top of the garage. You can see that scrubbing through. Next one is the video here of characters doing scare poses, which I thought would work brilliantly on the garage door. We've got our audio track. Now, I don't actually use the audio track. I didn't rig that up to the speakers, but I think maybe next year, if I do a full sequence, I can incorporate the sound in with the sequence as well. And I think, what else have we got? So this layer here is the text that you see on the right hand side. So the warning, there we go, warning, and then do not enter. When I created this, for some reason I thought that my porch had a solid bit of white wood to project this onto. As it turns out, it's just some thin pieces of wood, so it'd have probably been better just doing that text straight rather than at an angle. But either way, you learn. I'll know for next year. And the last layer here, video 5 layer, this does the lightning. So there we go. So we've got a bolt lightning there that goes across both masked areas. And this one here, now this lightning is just a generated effect. So this software comes with all sorts of weird and wonderful effects. One of them, I can't remember where it was now, but you get a degree of these for free in the free version, and then if you upgrade, you can get access to all of them. Lights and flares maybe in there. No. But yeah, this lightning effect was absolutely amazing. As you can see on the video, it did look stunning on the front of the house. I was very, very impressed. So yeah, so I can just play that. And that was the final video. I've got other video clips that I could have used, and I think next year I'll spend a lot longer really thinking it through and maybe doing 2 or 3 different sequences. Maybe do ones more relative to whatever song is playing, or maybe do something different when the pumpkins are doing stories or jokes. Okay, this is my main Raspberry Pi. I've called this one FPP1. I have a main playlist for Halloween show. It's the same show I used for last year. I've just modified it with extra commands this year to do the house projector mapping. I have a remote command fired that starts the projection mapping on the remote. The reason I'm doing this is I didn't have time this year to work in the house projection into a sequence, into one of the video sequences or the song sequences. So what I'm doing is just firing raw commands over to start the video and stop the video during my playlist. So this intro section really just gets everything set up, gives me a chance just to align the projectors and make sure we're good to go with the show. So that lasts about 2 minutes 15 seconds, and then we're into the main list. So I just alternate here. I start the pumpkins doing a joke routine for 50 seconds, and then trigger the house projection mapping, and then start the Addams Family song. It's pretty much then the same loop. So there's a second set of jokes, and that takes us then into the Monster Mash song, a third set of jokes, and finally into the Ghostbusters song, and then it turns off the house video. I just set the whole thing on repeat, up the volume, and click play, and just let that run. So for this year, we let it run from 5:30 till 7:30, so 2 hours. It just ran in repeat mode. I think next year I'm going to expand it, because this whole set of sequences only lasts around, 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, so it does get very repetitive. So I think I need more songs and maybe some more quiet time as well, just so it's not blaring out the music constantly and annoying the neighbours. Let's see what else we've got. So these are the media. I've got some other playlists for stories. I think I didn't play these this year, so I think I might do these next year, but there is various stories that come with the Atmos FX pumpkin kits that you can buy. And then I also created a holding playlist as well. The idea of this one was to just be able to play this whilst I'm waiting for the show to start, maybe, or if I just wanted to hold the show for a little while, it'll stop playing any audio and just like run a bare bones sort of lighting show. This is the second Raspberry Pi that I've got running Falcon Player. This one is just in, I think it's, it is in player mode actually. I think eventually I'll have this in remote mode, and it'll just receive sequence commands directly from the master player. Because I didn't have time this year to fully set that up, I've left this one in player mode. I think I created a command. Let's have a look, command presets, here we go. So I created 2 commands, that is play house video and stop house video, and I can just execute these commands remotely from the master Falcon Player. On here, I've just got one playlist which contains the one video. We're at playlists. There we go. So just one playlist, and on there, just one video. It's all I had time to set up this year. I only had a week or so beforehand. It was kind of a test just to see how things would go. But I was so impressed. I was so impressed with the projector. I wasn't sure if it was going to be bright enough, but it turns out 3,500 ANSI lumens of brightness is more than enough. That lit up the house perfectly. So I think next year I might expand it and see if I can pull the projector back a little further and maybe try and play video on more of the house. Or I do have a third projector, point that at other parts of the house and have a separate video sequence going with that. So next year it's going to be awesome. I won't go through the xLights setup now. That would be a video in itself. There are plenty of very good tutorials online for how to set up xLights, how to configure it to connect to the Falcon Player and transfer sequences to and from, and also how to map the lights onto your house. It's a similar process to the projectors. It's a case of taking a photograph of your house and drawing on where the various lights go, and then load in your music and choose the various effects. It takes a good while. But it's worthwhile it in the end when you see the show. So that's it for this year. Things are progressing. I will leave you to watch the remainder of the show and catch you again next year on next Halloween's setup. Maybe a third projector next year, maybe lots more lights, maybe some little hoops, dancing hoops. I've got lots of ideas. I'll see you soon.
Oh, look at that!